It makes me so happy in a time when things happen on AI and are computer generated, to have something that is born out of a lot of human connection.
Welcome to Bitch Talk. I'm your host, Erin.
And I'm co-host Ange, aka Captain Party.
2026 brings us into our 13th year of podcasting, and we're proud to be here. Thank you to our followers and longtime listeners for voting us Best of the Bay Best Podcast for 3 years in a row, and to SFFilm for adding us to the respected list of essential SF winners.
If this is your first time listening, where the hell have you been? But better late than never. We're like if the rap group Salt and Peppa met the show Grace and Frankie and had a baby. And if you don't understand what that means, ask Jeeves. And now, on with the show. Clink!
Hey, Bitch Talkers, it's Erin and Ange coming from the Frameline Film Festival program.
Kickoff.
Thank you. Kickoff party in the Castro. And we're here to talk SFFilm.
We're in the heart of Film Festival Central in the Bay Area, specifically San Francisco, which is why we had to record this intro from Frameline, because it's hard for us to keep up. We've had SFFilm straight into CamFest and now Frameline, but we're excited to bring you this interview from SFFilm. That's really special. We also have another little something that we're going to bring you later in the year. But we wanted to talk about SFFilm really quickly because we had a really special time, as we always do, at the 69th annual SFFilm Festival. The longest running in the country, period.
Right.
Boom.
Boom.
Tell me the Bay Area isn't good for independent film.
Right. What I want to talk about is how a film festival gets you out and about in your town or in your community. So I did see a really powerful documentary with Jeff from Storied San Francisco, also my husband, called Figaro Up, Figaro Down. We took the bus. We went to a different neighborhood than we normally would go to. And it's about a locally, formerly unhoused person who was an opera singer, Juilliard-trained opera singer, and fell on hard times, as a lot of us can do, and wound up on the streets of San Francisco. And it was powerful. He was there. The filmmaker was there. It took them years to get this done. And it was one of those things where you're in community, you're having real conversations about what's going on in our streets, what's going on with our neighbors, and it was great. And again, it gets you out and about in the neighborhood. So that's, or in different neighborhoods. So that's what I love about all of these film festivals, that it really gets you keyed into different communities and different neighborhoods in your city and your town.
What I love about that film and that experience for you is, specifically for San Francisco, this whole conversation we have about the unhoused, how we like to group them into one specific type of person,
yes,
one specific type of situation, and it's just not that simple.
Nope.
It's such a nuanced conversation.
Yep. It's complicated.
And that's another thing about films. They build empathy. They give you a glimpse into a life or an experience that you know nothing about, so hopefully you can walk about the world more empathetic and more caring to your fellow citizens.
It'll open your mind a little bit. It'll crack it open.
I'm going to say a highlight of mine from SFFilm was I went to the music and film experience that they curated, which, shout out to Jessie Fairbanks. I heard through the grapevine that this was her baby. It was Mysterious Bird, which was a short film about Gabriela Quintero, who is one half of Rodrigo Gabriela, guitar duo, fierce force of nature. They are both from Mexico, but they started in Ireland. They've toured all over, and now she has her own. She's going solo with her own little project, which is not little, it's major, it's beautiful. And this was a short film that followed her in that journey. And after the short film, which was directed by a Filipina, by the way,
Of
shout
course.
out to Beth Ayala. I had no idea, and when I was there, I was like, Filipino, just saying. We're everywhere. she had a performance with her producer / partner for this project, Daniel Ho, and it was, I don't even know what words. I get chills thinking about it. They were both on guitar, and her album is a tribute to the birds of the town of Zihuatanejo, which is where she lives in Mexico.
Yeah.
And so while they were performing on guitar, they had background visuals of birds in flight. And this is, she wants to fundraise and talk about her activism for animals, animal safety, environmental issues. And she talks about how everything that we're upset about, for her, she turns it into music. That's how she is an activist. And it was just a really special time. I'll never forget it. And yeah, she said, with music, life is better.
Always.
And
I think we believe that too. Yeah.
A little side note, we would have interviewed 5 million films for SFFilm if we had the time. But I do want to give a shout out to a handful of films that we've already interviewed.
Yeah.
That were also
It's a callback.
Premiering at SFFilm.
Yes.
We have Jaripeo. Joy Bubbles.
Yep.
The Oldest Person in the World. Time and Water. Give Me the Ball. I mean, damn.
Yeah.
It's really exciting to see these films that we have followed from Sundance or South by Southwest being shown here in our hometown.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do have to give a shout out also to SFFilm opening night party. We had a great time at the Swedish American Music Hall. Haven't been there in a minute, probably since before the pandemic for myself. Caught up with our friend Aisha from NPR. Had a great time with her.
And then what about the filmmakers party?
And then we ended. then we ended the film festival with the filmmakers party. And let's just say we got to see. We were sweaty. There are pictures that we don't want to show because we were sweaty. And
it was cowboy themed.
Yes.
Because it was in honor of the film Jaripeo. Which please look back into our Sundance coverage and
again
listen to that interview.
Yeah.
Incredible documentary.
But we got to see our friend H.P. Mendoza, and we also saw our other friend Bao Nguyen, who did the documentary Greatest Night in Pop, which was one of our favorite docs on Netflix, still there. It's special to be here, and again, if you're in a city or a town that has a film festival and you're a little bit like, I don't know what it's about, I'm not a film person. Yes, you are. You watch movies.
But also, there's not just films. There's also the events. Like I said, my event was a short film that was 30 minutes long and then a full-on musical performance.
There's events.
Short films.
Yeah.
Which, they're 10, 15, 20 minutes long, and there's like maybe 5 of them, and it goes by like nothing. So it just like all of your preconceived notions are thrown out the window because there's an experience for all different types.
And I think if you want to connect with your community and you're like, wait, I'm just the only one here and I have these values and I have, these thoughts and ideas and this political whatever, you're actually going to find those people at a film festival. You are.
Yes.
You are going to find your people there. So go and, do something new for yourself. Go to a film fest. We're lucky we have major film festivals here kind of year round. But, we're going to get into this conversation about a movie called Yo, Love is a Rebellious Bird. I don't know what to say about this movie because
I don't even think
it's powerful, it's creative, it's about grief, it's about art, and it's about a woman who defied kind of just who she was in life. Yeah.
And it's about connecting on the realist level. That's our sole purpose, I believe, and that's what this film is about. So,
and it's another beautiful film about aging in this world and having community around aging. Mm-hmm. So enjoy our interview with the co-director Anna Fitch. She's also an executive producer. She's also the person that's behind and in front of the camera, and this is her relationship with Yo. So enjoy. Hey, Bitch Talkers, we're at SFFilm 2026, and we have the director Anna Fitz from Yo, Love is a Rebellious Bird on with us today. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
If you can do us a favor and tell our audience what Yo, Love is a Rebellious Bird is, that would be great.
So Yo is a documentary about my friend Yo. short for Yolanda, but everyone called her Yo. She's an amazing, amazing woman. She was 49 years older than me. So she died before I was ready. She was in her late 80s and I just turned 40. She grew up in Switzerland during World War II. She lived an incredible life, incredibly singular woman who I really admired and loved. And I started recording our visits because I knew I wasn't going to get to spend as much time and learn as much from her as I wanted to. I did that with my husband, Banker White, who directed the film with me. And the film is that time that we spent together, but also the 12 years after she passed, when I built a puppet of her and a house at 1/3 scale for the puppet that was a replica of her house. And in that space, our relationship and her stories continue.
Mm. It is such a fun film. It's such a beautiful tribute to your special friend. I also am collecting elder friends as we speak because of their stories and their perspective, and it really helps ground me. But I'm so jealous that you got to have this older friend at the age of 24. Can you just even conceptualize like how she shaped you in those really important years becoming an adult, because your lives coincided in a lot of ways. You were an artist, she's an artist.
Yeah, I grew up in the city. I grew up in Seattle. And my friends were pretty much always my own age, although I admired older people. Like my life we just weren't brought together. So Pacific Grove is a small town, and I think it was a situation where it was easier to just find people, where you needed to find people who you truly connected with. And very quickly you realize it doesn't matter what age they are. What matters is that you relate to each other in a real way. So I feel lucky that Yo and I found each other. And I think her true confidence and unapologetic nature in who she was a huge influence on me, because at that age, just out of college, trying to figure out who you are in the world, I feel like I I did a lot of experimenting and pretending and trying on different skins to see who I was going to be. And sometimes I didn't really have a lot of confidence in who I actually was, or didn't even know who I actually was. But Yo could really see people. I used to call it her spiritual X-ray vision. She would just sort of see people and see who they really were, and you couldn't pretend to be someone else. And when I wasn't feeling confident about who I was, I would remember that Yo really likes me. She knows who I am. She can see me and she likes me, so I'm okay.
Oh.
I love that this is a mixed media documentary about a woman who's lived like 1,000 lives in almost 90 years. But I love also that this film is really dealing with grief and that we all deal with it very differently. So can you talk about that side of the story and opening up about that
Yeah.
through
Yeah,
art?
that was the process. No, that was part that I didn't have a very functional relationship with grief. I didn't have like a cultural context where there was a tradition to follow. And in my family, it was kind of just not talked about much. And I was really uncomfortable with it. I was uncomfortable with any grief that I might experience, and I was really uncomfortable with other people experiencing grief. So whether I knew it or not, and when I started recording this film, I did not see it as a film about grief. That happened in the years after Bill passed. But I do think it one helped me face something I was afraid of, and two, when I started telling other people what the film was, they would tell me their grief stories. And I realized that especially as you get older, and some people when they're younger, we're walking around with this and we're not talking about it. And that the film had a place where it could help people have those conversations, or feel the move in, like feel those feelings, do it on their own terms. And grief is so different for everybody, but just starting to talk about it and sit with it in a way publicly where hopefully we can all get a little more comfortable and help each other out, because we're not alone in this.
I'm so glad you said that, because this next segment is us sharing our grief stories. No, I'm just kidding, but we really could. We really could. Yeah. But that's what I kept thinking when I was watching your film, is like, oh, how beautiful that you're an artist and you have all these ways to release your grief, express your grief, and express your love for your friend. So I want to get into this diorama, this house, this replica now, which is, you said 1/3 the size of her home, her cute little modest shotgun home, which is just also so full of personality. Can you talk about just it took 10 years, right, to make this? Did you use like parts of her sweater or parts of her blanket for the blanket? Like it's so intricate. Every little piece is so special and unique. You didn't just buy it, buy something online. You built all of it.
Yeah. So my husband, Banker White, who I made this project with, is also a really big influence on how all this came to be. One, he was losing his mother when we met, and I started kind of learning how to do this kind of a film with someone from him. He also has an MFA in sculpture. And so the puppet came first. And my friend Robin Frohart is a puppet maker, and I knew that she could do an incredible puppet of Yo. And then the puppet needed a place to sit. So then we made Yo's bed, and then the bed was in a corner. So we made the corner. And then before long, with Banker's encouragement that this was possible, and Simon Sheffen's also an amazing artist builder who I have a long history with from being in the Extra Action marching band together. The three of us started really building Yo's house to the scale of the puppet. So the scale was kind of determined by the puppet. That's about 20 inches. And we built it, in a modular way, so we could puppeteer and so we could film with the puppet. But we didn't really have a plan for where to stop. And it was a very intuitive process that just sort of began to lead the way, as if the house was more in control than we were. But actually working with the physical materials that I had from Yo and just using my hands felt much more cathartic for me than looking at the footage for the first couple of years after Yo passed. So the house we built, Yo passed away in 2013, and we started building with a puppet, was made in 2016. The house started in 2017. And it really shifted things for me to remake the floor and recreate the place where her feet wore a place in the paint. And we would listen to Yo's stories while we would work, and some of her stories were audio only, so we conceptualized building worlds for those stories, and some of those are at other scales. The first one we built is the last story in the film, where we built the tiny little apartment for the insects that are her relatives.
Oh yeah.
So that all happened simultaneously, building out that story, and then building the house for the puppet to live in.
Yeah.
So it's so fun.
It's a whole separate story, really, interview storyline. But yeah, so I was wondering, like, how did you tell people that you were doing this, and like, or was it a secret project? That's not even a question that I had, but I can't imagine trying to tell people, well, my friend passed away, that I had a really, this serious relationship, and I have a puppet of her, and we're building her house. Like it
Yeah,
sounds great to
yeah. I
me.
mean, it was a very collaborative project.
Yeah.
So, um, so all my friends were helping build the project. So when
Mm,
we did our first, we did a lot of the work in artist residencies.
mm,
And so at the first one we had uh a residency at Project Artaud, and we started building it, and we're like, wow, we're never going to get this done. This is a massive project. And so then we just called in everyone we knew really to help us, like build all the miniatures, but like um, build the tiny little light switches. Like there were lots of things we didn't know how to do. And the Bay Area is full of amazing artists. And so we
Mhm.
really just brought people in early to help with this project. And then we were learning what the project was as we were doing it. So,
Okay.
and a lot of my friends knew Yo because I took them down to meet her, because
Oh,
that's what you do for your friends. You introduce them
mhm,
to your other great friends.
yeah,
mhm.
for sure.
Yep,
Oh,
I know. Well, also, your kids,
yes.
specifically Dylan, can we just Dylan at the end of the film reading her letter to Yo. Um, I don't know. Yo lives on. That was just like so beautiful. Can you talk about including your kids? And
Yeah.
I mean, Dylan, what's Dylan up to? Because that kid is a
Yeah,
star already.
she's an amazing kid, an amazing artist, and you just barely get to meet Oscar in the film. He was born after Yo died,
Mm.
but they really feel like Yo's a big part of their life.
Mhm,
And that's been one of the great gifts of doing this and doing this as a family.
mhm. It's so
I know.
cute.
This film is really special. Um, the intimacy of the film and with Yo and filming with Yo, and her being a weed dealer, and also like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Weed was
to me,
illegal back then too. That
right,
was that
right,
was I was always like, "Are you okay with us filming this?" And she was like, "Let them put my ashes in jail."
yes,
She
and
was not afraid.
no, the scene with her fully naked getting into the bathtub was
Mhm,
something that really I don't think I audibly gasped, but I was like, you just don't see women in that way
mhm.
after a certain age, or it's very,
Yeah.
specific or whatever. But can you talk about the intimacy and her being so like, I don't give a fuck at like
Mhm.
what,
Yeah.
85? I don't even know, 80,
Yeah.
88?
Yeah, yeah, she died at 88, so she was probably 85 when we filmed the bath scene. So we were very collaborative in the filmmaking process and talked about it a lot. And at one point we asked her, "Is there anything in your life that we haven't filmed that you want us to film?" And she thought about it and was like, "My bath."
Oh.
And she also told this story that I had really hoped that it would make it into the film, but sometimes these things don't.
Yeah.
Where she said she never got the thing about like being naked, and when she was a kid, her parents stopped letting her answer the door because she might go naked, and she just said like, "I wasn't trying to shock anyone, I just didn't get it." She's like, once someone's seen your face, they've seen it all anyway.
Mm.
I
It's
have to
so
think about
interesting.
that.
I mean, maybe that's her spiritual x-ray vision, like she sees someone's face and she sees it all, but just wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, really.
Definitely ahead of her time. I think, yeah, she's like lived, this was like her 100th iteration of life. Like she's
Mhm.
just like such a wealth of spiritual, but also connectedness. Yeah, it's just like
Star.
what a find. Yeah. And I feel like we're friends with Yo now too from
Hmm.
watching this. But can you believe oh no, not can you believe? You can believe it because you lived it. But like you weren't filming the whole time you were friends. Thank God you had the wherewithal to be like, I need to start interviewing her.
Hmm.
And I read in your director's notes that you would show her some of the interviews afterwards. I'm curious to see what her thoughts were. Or she was just like, yeah, whatever, that's me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was interesting. She also watched my other films. She saw The Genius of Marion. So she saw this very intimate film that Banker and I did with his family and with his mother. And yeah, I didn't know. I think I wanted to film with her for a long time, but I didn't know how to do that in a way that wouldn't interfere with the time that we had together, because that was so precious to me.
Mhm.
And so, when I asked her, it was just like, can we film? And we tried it, and she just was very natural in front of the camera, and very comfortable. And in a way, like, we didn't have amazing high production value footage, because we would just set the camera, we would set the mic, and sometimes the camera would run out and we would just have audio only versions of what she was saying. So it was very different than the kind of films that I had been working on before that. I made films for National Geographic. You would go into someone's house, you would unplug the fridge, lock the doors. It was just like, and this was very different. She would be doing whatever she was doing. Someone would come in and buy weed, and we would just say, like, hey, can you want us to turn this off, or not? And sometimes the answer was yes, and sometimes the answer was no. But it ended up, I think what we captured was very real and very natural. And, we made up for in the visuals that we didn't have shooting almost the entire film in the middle room of her tiny house with what we built over the years.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. Well, thank you. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap, but we end every episode with a segment that's called This Bitch. And we give our guests a chance to either shine a light on something that's bringing you joy, or you can throw shade on something that's pissing you off. So, Anna, who is your This Bitch of the moment?
I'm going to have to go with joy and appreciation, because we're getting to show this film in the Bay Area, where all of Yo's family can come and see it, and all of these amazing artists who worked on the film are able to be there. And it makes me so happy in a time when things happen on AI and are computer generated, to have something that is born out of a lot of human connection. And I'm really happy about that.
Man,
Beautiful.
This bitch is this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say thank you for adding that. No generative AI was used in the making of this film. Thank you for adding that. We're going to add that to our intro too.
Yeah.
For our show.
Awesome.
No AI.
Really nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to finish this off. We've been speaking with director Anna Fitch of the film Yo, Love is a Rebellious Bird. Thank you so much for being on Bitch Talk, and we love this movie so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on today's show. You can find more information about this episode in our show notes.
If you're missing us, you can visit us at bitchtalkpodcast.com to sign up for our newsletter and buy us a cup of coffee.
Did you know we're also on the radio? You can find us at bff.fm.
And lastly, rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. All the cool bitches are doing it.